He mocked the janitor. But what happened next? Shut! Everyone! Upper! I've always said this. People only notice janitors when something smells bad or something spills worse. Nobody looks you in the eye. They look through you. Like you're a fixture. Like the mop you're holding is part of your arm and your badge don't got a name on it. Just a title. Custodian. But you know what? That never really bothered me. Not much. I'm a grown man. Been through wars life don't train you for. I've raised kids, buried a brother, pulled 2 people out of a burning car back in 2003 when half the highway was rubbernecking. So no, pushing a mop through the marble hallways of Vanguard Financial Tower ain't what I dreamed of as a kid. But I take pride in how clean those floors shine. And I see things. Things these people don't think I notice. The way suits talk when they don't think you matter. The way security side-eyes you when you take a little too long near the executive lounge. The way some folks step over your mop water like you're contagious. But this morning started different. The building was already humming with motion when I walked in. 6:04 a.m. sharp. The big brass doors whooshed open, and there I was. Boots polished, uniform crisp, mop cart freshly stocked. I nod to Carl at security, who don't usually say much before coffee but gave me a half smile today. Early as always, Reed. You know me, I grinned. Gotta beat the morning rush before they spill their $10 coffee and step in it like they spilled state secrets. Carl chuckled. You're not wrong. It was a small thing, but even that kind of acknowledgement, that's currency when you wear a name tag and carry a bucket. By 7:15, I was wiping down the 12th floor restrooms when I got the call. Reed, buzzed my walkie. We got a code 7 near the lobby. Kid separated from a parent. You mind helping till the front desk staff frees up? Now, let me pause here. See, technically that ain't janitor business. I don't babysit. But the tone in the voice told me something was wrong. And I got grandkids. So I dropped my rag, locked the supply closet, and headed down. When I got to the elevator, the girl was already there. Maybe 7. Maybe 8. Big brown eyes, scared to blink. Her arm was in a pink cast with little smiley face stickers peeling off. She was holding a stuffed turtle like it was oxygen. I could tell from the tear tracks on her cheeks she'd been crying a minute. Hey now, I said, dropping to one knee, keeping my voice soft. You all right, sweetheart? She just blinked, then gave a tiny nod. You got a name? Kayla. Well, Kayla, my name's Mr. Reed, but you can call me Jameson, or even Mr. J if you want. You know where your mama is? She went to a meeting, Kayla whispered. The door closed and she didn't see me. That's all I needed. I tapped the concierge. Learned her mother, Vanessa Holbrook, was on the 24th floor in a closed-door finance meeting. No phones allowed. I didn't think twice. You hold on to Turtle in my hand, all right? I told her. We're gonna go find your mama. Now, listen. I knew full well that technically, custodial staff weren't supposed to escort visitors past the 20th floor without a badge. I also knew that building policy hadn't accounted for lost little girls. So, up we went. Just me, Kayla, and Turtle. As we reached the 24th, people started noticing. The hush of executive territory always had a kind of weight to it. Everyone too important to talk, too expensive to smile. But when that elevator dinged, and a janitor stepped out holding the hand of a child, oh, baby, they looked. But it wasn't until Kayla spotted her mama at the end of the hall that everything snapped into motion. That woman sprinted, high heels clicking like gunfire, arms wide open, voice breaking. Kayla!" she cried, choking back tears. "Oh my God!" I stepped back as she scooped her daughter into her arms, sobbing into her curls. "I thought I lost you," Vanessa whispered, kissing Kayla's cheeks over and over. "She helped me," Kayla said, pointing back at me. People were watching. A few clapped. I heard someone mutter, "That janitor deserves a medal." I just gave them a small nod and said, "Glad I could help." But then, a voice sliced through the moment like a rusted blade. "Excuse me, but what the hell is going on here?" The room fell quiet. I turned. Tall, arrogant, tailored in a suit that probably cost more than my truck. Diamond cufflinks, Rolex, skin the shade of entitlement. Hair like it had never known a bad day. Name badge said it all. Bradley T. Knox, senior partner. I knew his type before he even opened his smug mouth again. "Why is the janitor up here? This is a secure floor, not some playground." Vanessa stood, stunned. "He helped my daughter. She was lost." "Then call security next time," Knox snapped. "Not the help. You don't send the janitor on rescue missions like this is some Disney movie." My blood simmered, but I kept my jaw tight. "I was asked to assist," I said flatly. "She needed help." "What you need," Knox sneered, stepping closer, "is to know your place." Silence. You could hear the AC hum. You could hear my grip tightening around the mop handle I still hadn't let go of. "You're just a janitor," he said, like he was spitting poison. And something shifted in the room. Vanessa gasped audibly. One of the assistants covered her mouth. An intern turned and walked away like she wanted to disappear. But Knox? He smirked, like he'd just proven something. I looked him straight in the eyes. "Maybe I am, but today, this janitor found a child. What did you do?" That might have been the end of it, if the man knew shame. But Bradley laughed. Laughed. Loud enough for the floor to hear. "Bet you don't even got a GED, he snorted. "Probably hired out of pity. Man like you should be grateful just to breathe the same air as the people in this room." I turned and walked away. Not because I agreed. Not because I was afraid. But because every second I stayed there, I was deciding not to say the kinds of things I couldn't take back. Downstairs, I leaned against the janitor's closet and breathed slow. My hands trembled, not from fear, from restraint. That's the thing about being a black man in America. You learn to bottle the boil. Because if you raise your voice, you're angry. If you defend yourself, you're dangerous. If you cry, you're weak. If you succeed, you're resented. So you learn to wear your dignity like armor. Silent, but strong. That day, I realized something. This wasn't about floors, or policies, or little girls and turtles. This was about how easily people in power can erase your humanity with 5 words. You're just a janitor. But they forgot. Some of us don't stay silent. Some of us remember everything. The next day, it started with whispers. Not from the ones in suits. They knew how to keep things polished on the surface. Fake smiles, quick nods, clipped greetings that said, "I saw you, but I didn't see you." Number. It was the cleaning crew. Maintenance, security, delivery guys. Folks who live at the bottom of the pyramid. The ones whose names never make it into the corporate newsletters unless they win Employee of the Month and get a $10 Starbucks card. Like that'll buy dignity. "Hey, Mr. J," said Tanya from floor service, corner of her lips tugging with curiosity. "I heard what happened up on 24. "You heard wrong," I said, even though she didn't. She just smiled and slid a sealed envelope into my hand. "Some people see what you did. Not everyone up there's blind." Inside was a handwritten thank you note from Vanessa Holbrook. Not an email. not a digital memo. Ink on real paper, cursive, tight, and sincere. For what you did for Kayla, I'll never forget. If you ever need anything, come find me. It was signed with her full name. Underneath it, Vice President, Client Acquisitions. Now let me tell you something. In Vanguard Tower, that title meant she had more weight than half the white men who strutted around like peacocks. I folded it slowly, didn't say a word, but in my gut, that feeling was rising, the kind that hums like thunder before the sky decides to lose its mind. By noon, the break room was buzzin'. You'd think we were hosting the Grammys with how many folks suddenly had business near my table. "So, Mr. Reed," said Joel, the HVAC guy, biting into his turkey sandwich, "what's it feel like being famous?" "I'm not famous," I muttered. He grinned. "You're the only janitor I know who had the guts to look a partner in the face and walk away with your soul still upright." "Wasn't about guts," I said. "Was about a child." "Same thing." That's when Carl from security leaned in and dropped a folder on the table. "You didn't get this from me." I opened it. A complaint form, filed at 7:42 a.m. that same morning. From Bradley T. Knox. Subject: unauthorized movement by non-executive staff. I laughed. Out loud. "Man really put that in writing," I said, flipping through. The wording was surgical. Said I violated floor clearance procedures and compromised secure zones. Made me sound like I was trying to break into Fort Knox instead of reuniting a child with her mother. Joel whistled. "Sounds like he's scared." "Or petty," Tanya added. Carl shook his head. "Same thing, these days." Later that afternoon, I was called into the facilities manager's office. Harold White, one of those middlemen who floats between blue-collar reality and white-collar illusion. Harold had the kind of face that always looked like he'd just tasted spoiled milk, even when he smiled. "Jameson," he started, voice overly calm. "I got a situation." "You don't say." He ignored the jab. "Seems there's been a complaint. From upper floors. I don't have the power to discipline you directly, but there's pressure." "From who?" He shifted in his chair. "Mr. Knox is a senior partner. And I'm a senior man with a mop who kept a little girl from panicking alone in a lobby." "That's not the issue." "Oh, I know what the issue is. It's not the girl. It's not the elevator. It's the fact that somebody in this building didn't like that I looked him in the eye and didn't flinch." "Jameson." "Nah. Let's call it what it is. I'm a problem because I ain't quiet. Because I don't play dumb when they talk slick. Because I know the difference between respect and tolerance, and I don't mistake the second for a favor." Harold leaned forward, steepling his fingers like a wannabe priest. "You're walking a thin line." I stood. Then maybe they need to ask themselves why the line was drawn in the first place. By the end of the week, it was everywhere. Oh, not officially. No HR emails, no corporate bulletins. But the energy? It changed. People who used to nod started avoiding eye contact. Elevators that once stopped for me started sailing past. One exec even left his half-eaten sandwich in the hallway, looked me dead in the face and said, "Aren't you gonna clean that up?" It was on purpose. Every little moment. Death by 1,000 slights. But I didn't break. I mopped that hallway so clean you could see your guilt in it. Then came Friday. The fire drill. Now normally I handle crowd coordination on my floors. Make sure nobody leaves their heels behind. No one locks a door that shouldn't be locked. But this time, they moved me to the loading dock. "The vendor needs help unloading bottled water," said Harold, eyes avoiding mine. So I was standing outside, sweat under my collar, moving boxes for a building that suddenly decided I was too visible inside. And that's when I saw them. 3 execs on their smoke break, standing under the shade, not realizing I was within earshot. One of them, I'd later learn his name was Jared from Risk Management, flicked his cigarette and said, "Honestly, Knox should have just had the guy reassigned to night shift. Let him mop floors when no one can see him." "That's not how optics work anymore," the second replied. "Now it's all about avoiding lawsuits." "Bet he'll milk it," the third chuckled. "Probably start some GoFundMe. Support your local janitor hero." And that's when something in me broke. But not the way they expected. I didn't yell, didn't cuss, didn't charge at them like they secretly hoped I would, so they could play the victim. I just turned, slowly, walked up behind them, and said, "Funny thing about janitors, we hear everything. Because nobody ever checks if we're in the room." They froze. "Have a nice weekend," I added, and walked away. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. That night, I sat on my porch with a glass of cold tea, staring at the moon like it owed me answers. My fingers ached from lifting water bottles, but my spirit ached worse, from carrying years of being seen and not seen all at once. I thought about my son, Marcus, thought about how I taught him to stand tall, speak clear, keep his name clean, thought about the irony that I did all that just to have men like Knox act like my name was still invisible. But the truth, they weren't ready for what came next. Monday morning hit different. The air in Vanguard Tower was thick. Not hot, not heavy, just thick. Like everyone felt something coming, but nobody knew from where. That kind of air makes suits walk faster, secretaries whisper quieter, and HR avoid eye contact. As for me, I was back in the lobby, mop in hand, uniform crisp, like nothing ever happened. But everything had, because over the weekend, I'd made a few calls. No, not to lawyers, not to the press like those execs probably feared. No hashtags, no pity parties. I called my people. People who remember, who watch, who listen. People who don't wear ties but move like giants when you least expect it. At 10:02 a.m., the elevator opened on the 24th floor. People barely looked up until the door didn't close, and out stepped a man in a navy suit. Not just sharp, but sharp like decisions. The kind of suit that don't say money. It says legacy. Beside him, a woman with natural curls and a stare that could melt corporate armor. Behind them, Vanessa Holbrook. And me. Yep, me. Right back where Bradley Knox said I didn't belong. "Oh no," someone whispered. "Is that—" "Jameson Reed," Vanessa said, stepping forward, loud and clear. "The man who found my daughter. The man who acted while others hesitated. The man who showed more leadership in a moment of chaos than most do in a year." Knox was standing near the conference table, eyes darting. "This isn't the place." "You made it the place," the woman beside Vanessa said, "when you filed a formal complaint and tried to blacklist this man for doing the right thing." Knox straightened his tie. "With all due respect, this is an internal matter." "No," the man in the navy suit said, voice low and smooth like bourbon over ice. "This is a culture matter." And then he pulled his badge. Chairman of the board. Oh yeah. That shut the whole room up. He turned to me. "Mr. Reed," he said, "we've reviewed the security footage. We've interviewed witnesses. We've read the statements. And we've also reviewed your file, which, I might add, included commendations from 3 previous clients, one of whom is a retired federal judge." Knox's face went pale, but the chairman wasn't done. What this man did wasn't a breach of protocol. It was a demonstration of character. The fact that this was twisted into a disciplinary action reflects poorly not on him, but on those who believe titles matter more than values. Vanessa stepped forward. And that's why we've invited Mr. Reed back here, to announce something. I blinked. Wait. What? She smiled. Effective immediately. The Vanguard Community Foundation is launching a new Employee Integrity Award, named after the man who inspired it. She turned to me. The Jameson Reed Honor. The room exploded in whispers. Bradley Knox looked like he'd swallowed a stapler. And one more thing, the chairman added. Mr. Knox, you're to step down pending investigation into racial bias complaints filed by 4 separate employees over the last 2 years. Now corroborated thanks to recent events. Boom. Just like that. I didn't need to yell. I didn't need to punch a wall. I didn't need to call the news. I just stood there, mop still in hand, smile on my face. And dignity? Still intact. They offered me a promotion. I turned it down. Didn't need it. See, this story was never about climbing ladders. It was about holding the ground you're already standing on. About showing that you don't have to be the loudest man in the room to be the one remembered. So now? Every time I walk those halls, folks say, "Good morning," with eye contact. Every time I mop the marble, someone says, "Thank you." And every time a kid runs past the lobby, security checks twice, just in case.